Into the Pit is the first book in the Fazbear Fright series. This series contains 12 books, but we will only be discussing the first one that was recently adapted into a game. So why not add it to my Halloween upload schedule? I am a big fan of the original Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy, so naturally I was interested in the Fazbear Frights books. I did get my hands on the graphic novelization version of the book. I did try to get the regular version, but it wasn't available on Kindle, and if you know me, you know I prefer to read things on my Kindle, because despite the fact I love reading and making videos about reading, I am dyslexic, and Kindle makes it easier to read. So we're working with the graphic novel. With that said, let's proceed. Our story starts with our protagonist Oswald and his father as they're heading to the library. Even though he is old enough to stay home by himself, his parents aren't too comfortable with that, so the plan is to take him to the library for the day, where his father will give him $3.50 for a slice of pizza and a soda from Jeff's Pizza. And that is a very important location to the plot. Oswald's family is not well off. The town they live in is pretty run down, so when he goes to the library and then goes to Jeff's, he only has enough money for one slice of pizza. Unfortunately, he is still hungry after. Luckily, Jeff does come through with a few extra slices for free, and this satisfies him until his father picks him up. Together they have dinner and Oswald heads to bed. He starts to think that maybe this won't be so bad despite the lack of money. He lies in bed thinking, please let something interesting happen. Careful what you wish for, Ozzy. The summer continues and we learn that his best friend Ben had moved away. And Oswald has very little hope that anyone's gonna move to his town, let alone anyone of his age. So I can totally understand how isolating that must feel. His frustration and envy does start to build when he texts Ben. Ben is currently in Myrtle Beach, going to arcades, living his best life. Oswald wishes he was with him, and Ben wishes the same. The same routine of library and Jeff's starts to get to Oswald. This leads to a blow-up between father and son, in the car on the way to yet another day at the library. His father tries to get him to make the best of it. They couldn't be like Ben and do the things he was because they needed to stay there. Oswald's grandmother lives there and she needs their help sometimes. Weird, I mean, they could just take Granny with them. I feel like if you need to move to give your son a better life like Ben's family did, why should Granny stop you? Bring Granny. And if she doesn't want to go, that's her issue. Oswald decides that today is going to be different. To sort of get back at his dad, he decides to hide in the ball pit of Jeff's. Now this ball pit's been closed forever, except for when he comes up, he's no longer in Jeff's. He's inside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The mascots that decorate the place look just like the ones he scribbles in his notebooks. He meets two kids, Chip and Mike. Oswald comments on old games, but Chip is confused because these games are brand new. Oswald somehow traveled to 1985. He spent time with the two boys before deciding it was time to return to his dad. He had probably worried him enough. Except when he emerges from the pit, no present time had passed. He was right on time for his dad to pick him up. Following his time travel pizza party, Oswald seems more chipper about his summer vacation. His parents take notice as well, and they're happy he's happy. He goes to see his 1985 friends and all good, right? Well, no. Oswald feels bad that they're always paying for him, and they say they don't mind, but then suddenly he has a pocket full of play tokens. In the following panel, we do see Yellow Bonnie eyeing him, and as we know, Yellow Bonnie is the one who killed the kids, so not looking good for Oswald here. Oswald asks his dad what it was like for him back in 1985, where he was a bit older than Oswald is now. But when he asks about what Jeff's was like before it became Jeff's, his father is clearly hesitant to discuss it. Since his dad was in the same town in 1985, he was there for Freddy, so he knew what happened. Oswald is about to find out for himself because he was also about to be there. Today, when he goes back to Freddy's, he observes parents looking for their children. Golden Bonnie lures him to a back party room, and inside are the dead, missing kids. Oswald sprints out of there and into the ball pit. Instead of before, like where time stood still while he was at Freddy's, time did pass, and he pops out to his father speaking to Jeff, as Jeff did not see Oswald come in that day. Of course, his dad was pissed when he actually found him. Oswald was scolded for playing in that nasty ball pit. And then out of nowhere, there's Golden Bonnie. He takes his father into the pit and emerges, except Oswald is the only one that sees him as Golden Bonnie. Well, Oswald and his cat. At home in Jeff's, everyone sees his dad as normal and Oswald is acting weird. Doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest, but it's Five Nights at Freddy's. The lore is more tangled than the Targaryen bloodline. Golden Bonnie drives into his first day of school. Oswald is still untrusting of this whole situation, and rightfully so. But on the upside here, he meets a girl who had just moved to this town. It's set up for them to be friends. We don't really see her after this moment in the graphic novel, but it is nice to know that after the climax, he will have someone. He does end up sneaking out to Jeff's to try and find his real dad. Oswald does find him in the pit, but before he could free him, Golden Bonnie pops out. An epic fight ensues where Oswald wraps a net around Golden Bonnie's neck and takes his dad out of the pit. His dad doesn't remember anything that happened, with Oswald playing it off as, oh, he was playing a joke on his dad and he hit his head when he went to go in the ball pit to look for Oswald. Together, they leave and all seems well. There is a lot to question about this story, but I doubt we will get answers. It's fun for what it is, but me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan. I would definitely still recommend the original trilogy over Into the Pit, especially if the rest of the Fazbear Frights books are like this. I will try to make another video on those at some point because they genuinely creeped me out. I love Five Nights at Freddy's in general, but Into the Pit is just a bit too goofy for me. I know it's a series about haunted animatronics, but on a deeper level, considering the lore, it's a lot more than that. I do encourage anyone read the books I discuss, or if you have, please tell me about it, because my opinions may not align with yours if/when you read them. And that's the fun of it all. I do enjoy talking about books in general, but I do also like talking about difference of opinions when it comes to books. I do also think that's really fun. But as for right now, that is all I have for you today. And please remember to drink water and return your library books on time, or else.